So Lilly, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Between you and me and your 14.9 million subscribers, how do you think GM can better adapt digital transformation and use it to better tell our story?
What do you guys think? What do y'all think? There's just 14.9 million people over here. Lilly Singh, and I am a content creator. I started in 2010 on YouTube, and since then, my life has been a wild journey that I wasn't really prepared for, to be honest, but I've got to do some pretty cool things like write a book, start a social good initiative called Girl Love, go on world tours. It's been absolutely crazy, and I'm so grateful for everything I've gotten to do. But I'm really passionate about storytelling, and which is why I'm super excited for this conversation today, because I think business and storytelling is chef's kiss.
My name is Deborah Wahl. I'm the global CMO of General Motors. I'm really excited to be here to have this conversation about how we inspire people and how we inspire a movement. 3 years ago, General Motors made a statement that we are going to create a world of zero crashes, zero emissions, and zero congestion. And we've been working on that along with our aspiration to be the most inclusive company in the world ever since. So I'm excited today. I think about all the lessons I've learned since I was a baby marketer to now where I am today, and I can't wait to exchange ideas with Lilly.
I'm really excited for this conversation today. I think I'm a huge nerd when it comes to storytelling, when I'm really passionate about something. And I can tell that Deborah's a nerd when it comes to making change.
I'm looking forward to getting inspired, Lilly, by you, how you do this, some of your magic. If you could just rub some of that off on me.
So sweet.
Really love that.
And I'm wearing this cool outfit with socks that have my dog on them.
Oh, I love
that in life. Okay, so Deborah, let's dive into this. GM, aside from changing perception to be a forward-thinking company, besides making sure that you are zero fuel emissions, you also have a goal to be the most inclusive company. Talk to me a little bit about that.
The only way that everyone can give their best self and be their best self overall is if we create a fully inclusive environment. And I know for myself, I really dove into understanding systemic racism, understanding these barriers, what's happened with women. I've always been a huge champion of women and what we do because I think we have to stick together. We've also really changed the way that we're looking at talent and giving people opportunities, interviewing in different ways, really identifying what career pathing would be, because I think that's really important too, and changing perceptions of everyone. It's hard work. It's very purposeful, and it's something that we're incredibly committed to.
We're all students for life, I say. The best teachers are students for life, and we're all students for life.
How did you make your YouTube channel the most inclusive ever?
Ever. Wow. Ever's a big word, but I appreciate that. I think, by nature of who I am and the point of view I have, I think you're hearing from someone who you don't usually see on screen. So I think that already by nature makes it a little more inclusive. I like my stories to be representative of the real world. And the real world has an array of people in it. And so I've always just viewed my channel as being authentically what is real to me, never trying to fit into a mold, never trying to satisfy an agenda of anything else. It's just, who am I? That's what you're gonna get. Yeah. My late night show, my writing staff is very diverse. I'm gonna go ahead and say that probably one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse. I don't see that as a box to check off. I more so see it as a superpower, honestly. And for me, it boggles my mind why companies don't view inclusivity as a superpower. You are getting so many points of view. You are getting real representation from the world. If you are selling to the world, if you are making stuff for the world, in what scenario is it not beneficial to have the world in your company? For me, it's a no-brainer. Now, GM is a pretty iconic older company. I think 113 years, is it, that they've been in existence? And you've been at GM for 3 years, is that right?
Correct.
So what steps have you taken to keep the brand relevant during your time there?
The first thing, which is perfectly fits into what our theme is today, is just really delved into storytelling. I mean, I think I spent the first year going across the company trying to discover what people were doing and, what motivated them in the stories that they had to tell, and really proud of the work, like bringing out the humanity of what was behind the work. I'm really interested in how you go about that, because you have such a way of finding those insights that then everyone's like can completely relate to.
Thank you. I mean, step one to what Lilly does, funky socks, 100%. I'll send you a bunch. Step two is, a big part of storytelling is engaging with the people who you are storytelling to. Gen Z and millennials, they really appreciate getting to know the people. Telling the story is great, but how do you learn what your audience is resonating with? What they're actually feeling when they're seeing that story, So it's really about inviting them into something. So it's not that GM is gonna help save the planet. It's that me and GM are gonna help save the planet.
I kind of think that's where corporations need to go. There's always this thing that companies are this big monolithic thing, and actually they're made up of people who are, giving every ounce of their days and hours to make something important happen.
I would love to see GM where they're like, hey, this is our mission, and we're going to take you behind the scenes on YouTube, show you exactly, like, hey, yeah, we can tell you a lot of buzzy tech words on a picture, but I'm going to take you in to the manufacturing, and we're going to take you behind the glossy commercials with the glossy cars and the actors and all that stuff, and we're just going to take you to the real deal so you are part of this. Like, that's super exciting to me.
Great idea. I love that. How do you think GM can better adapt digital transformation and use it to better tell our story?
One of my personal biggest pet peeves of any corporation is when they do not adapt their actual content to online. So I think if you're posting things on YouTube, it's important to understand what works on YouTube. Does a 1-minute fancy intro work on YouTube? Not necessarily. People like to dive into content right away and then really using the tools of that platform. YouTube is great. There has so many analytics in the back end to understand exactly where your audience is, where they're coming from, what their demographics are. There's so many tools to engage with the audience, whether it's comments, whether it's pinning comments, whether it's live streams. Obviously, I'm a huge advocate for this because of who I am, but there's so many tools to use on YouTube, whether it's subtitling things. Make sure your content is optimized for YouTube, and I would say it takes a little studying.
Little studying and a lot of practice and work at it. You've obviously perfected it amazingly. I could see a future YouTube channel coming up.
Do it for sure. I'm happy to help as well if you need it.
We could use it Lilly advisory sessions, definitely.
Is it by 2035 GM is trying to, what is the goal around 2035 for GM?
We have a couple goals. First, we want to make sure that we're launching 30 EVs by 2025. And then by 2035, we really hope to really go into that transition to all electric overall.
What is an electric vehicle though? How is it different from vehicles we're used to?
I think the most exciting thing about electric vehicles are they symbolize the whole next step in mobility and transportation. This is really important, one, for the environment. I think, that's when you get to zero emissions future.
Is there going to be an EV for everyone? Because I think right now the perception is that electric vehicles are very expensive.
Yeah.
And they're not affordable for everyone, and they're not for everyone. But how is GM changing that?
We will be making EVs in every category for every price point. And then with that, we're really focused on making it easy for everyone to have accessible charging, make sure that infrastructure is available, because that's really important.
That's a big overhaul. That's a huge undertaking, and that's not lost on me. Deborah, do you think we have a lot in common?
I think our world views are very similar.
Yeah.
You're just so much better at articulating everything.
No, not even. I actually feel like you're really good at articulating. One thing I think we have in common is, and this is a humble brag for both of us, I don't think we get intimidated by the size of a task. I think we want to see the world a certain way. We want to make sure we have a positive impact on the world, and we don't let anybody tell us that it's too big or impossible or can't be done.
I love that. You know what I also noted? That both of us understand that to achieve anything, you go through fear. And
yes.
You go through that. And hearing you talk about that, because I feel it all the time, and I'm like, does anyone else feel this? I think it shows for anyone who wants to achieve something, you have to go through that, push yourself through that stage. And that's really inspiring.
Yeah, it's kind of like fear is a bumpy road, not a stop sign. I just made that up right now, but I think it sounds really smart. It might make things a little harder, but it's not a reason to stop.
That's right. I'm going to keep working harder now. You've inspired me. I got to go. I got to get to work now.
Deborah, you're dope. You're dope.
Tell my son that you said that.
Yeah, tell your son I said you're dope. I can't wait to see GM's YouTube channel popping.